So this is my good friend Andre right here. Give it up. Me and Andre actually met at the gym because he had a duffel bag that said 10X. And I always say where the people are, the opportunities arise. People are always like, where should I go? Where should I go? Where should I go? I'm like, you need to go where the people are. I think we had like a half-hour conversation.
It was like 2 hours.
Yeah, and then he's like, yo, I gotta work out. He ended up buying a ticket to my conference, I think, that night. Then he went to Miami and we just became really good friends. So Andre, tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
I'm somebody that has big dreams, somebody that didn't come from wealth and somebody that didn't come from having a lot of money. You know, I grew up in an area where people just in general didn't have a lot of money, but luckily I was able to move into another environment where I saw great. So my uncle invites me to work at a restaurant that he was a chef at in Greenwich. And you know, I come from Mount Vernon. It's getting better now, but you know, how it was back then when I was out there, it's not a lot of people aspiring to do big things. Seeing these wealthy people, these families in Greenwich, and just seeing what they can do really inspire me. So in a short way, who I am is someone aspiring to be successful and to impact a lot of people.
Yeah, give it up. When you were starting out, you were what, a busboy or a waiter, and you met someone there, right?
Yeah, so just a very short story. I was a dishwasher at a Brazilian restaurant in Mount Vernon. My uncle he was a chef at a restaurant in Greenwich. As soon as I turned 16, my mom wanted me to kind of just go work over there because she knew that I needed to be around people that were doing things. And even then, so he invites me to be a dishwasher there, and then the manager says, you know, hey, you could be a busboy. And I'm like, okay, great. So I start my buster there. I really wanted to become a waiter. They didn't let me do that at that restaurant, so I ended up leaving. I found another restaurant down the street that would allow me to be a waiter. And actually it was because of a connection that I met there as a busboy. You know, there's these gentlemen that used to go there all the time, and they're like, hey, I have connections at this other restaurant. We really like you. I'd love, you know, because I told him I wanted to be a waiter. So he gets me a job there. I'm a waiter there for 3 years. I'm 19 at this point. And same story, this lady very wealthy lady, her and her husband, they come and have breakfast at the restaurant every single day. And she's like, hey, you know, I really like you. You seem like such a hardworking person. And she's like, my husband has this job. We need somebody to stay awake overnight watching these flights take off and land. I'm like, super weird. It's really, yeah, she asked me some super weird questions. Like, do you like staying up late? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. It was weird. Yeah, it was. But it turns out her and her husband own this company called the National Kidney Registry. They facilitate kidney transplants. And what they did is they put the organs on flights overnight. And then out of nowhere, one day, you know, I got to work early. I was helping this lady because, you know, the busboy, she asked for bread 3 times and he didn't get it for her. So I helped her get her bread, and she asked me the question if I wanted to work with them. So that was like the pivotal point to going into a business where I had no idea about kidneys. You know, like, I don't know, I'm a waiter. What do I know about kidneys?
You actually said, hey, this is great, but like, I'm actually gonna give this all up and pursue my dream. So tell everybody a little bit about how you made that switch and now what you're going into.
One pivotal point for me was when you had me do that exercise of coming up with my 10-year vision. So Brandon, when he first told me, he's like, look, you know, you gotta come up with a 10-year, 3-year, and a 1-year goals. I'm like, 10 years, like, I don't know what I really want right now. And
That's what everybody says.
So it's like, it was really tough. It took like 3 weeks, I think, for me to actually come up with the 10-year vision and my 10-year goals. But once I did, I just got so much clarity, because for the longest time, I knew I wanted to do something, and I knew I wanted to do something, you know, become successful, but I just didn't know what it was.
And I tell everybody, I'm like, the biggest thing about the 5 or 10-year vision, whatever you choose, is the point of it is so you can start thinking about stuff that you're not thinking about now, that you probably don't know how to do, and you probably don't think are possible, but you want it. And what happens is when you start putting that down, now the 3-year goal, the 1-year goal, it excites you more, because you're like, okay, now if I'm doing what I need to be doing to hit that 1-year goal, it's gonna lead me closer to that $10 million net worth. It's gonna lead me closer to, like, my 10-year goal is to have 10,000 student universities in 10 of the biggest cities in the United States. So yeah, you can give it up for that. Yeah. But to push me through all the fun, like I'm probably on 35, 40 phone calls a week, and then I have another business that I'm meeting with people all the time too. And what pushes me through those is that big vision.
Yeah.
I don't think about like how to do that right now. I think about what I need to do right now that's going to lead me closer to the 1-year goal, that's going to lead me closer to the 3-year goal, that's going to lead me closer to the 10-year goal. So Andre started thinking big. He's like, okay, boom. And it takes a while for this thought process to settle in. It takes surrounding yourself with people like the people who are in this room. And then a couple weeks ago, he said something. I was like, yes.
Yeah, so I made a commitment to pretty much leave my job and start my own real estate investing company. It's definitely a hard decision, right? Because I have a great job, I'm making great money, and I'm going to this thing that's uncertain. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if it's gonna work. But in my mind, it's like, if there's any time for me to take a risk, it's now. Your environment is so important, and similar to that, just putting yourself in these tough situations where it's like, you either you make it or you don't. And at least for me, that's what works the best. Like, I can put myself in these situations where I don't have a choice but to win. So that's at least my train of thought now and how I'm thinking. It's like, I don't have a choice. Either I'm gonna make this work or I'm just gonna be homeless or something. I don't know. Not homeless, but.
Just to touch on this, because this is a very important point. So you can be in a room like this and you could be really inspired, and then you could go to your living situation and you might have to deal with negativity, you might have to deal with drama, you might have to deal with stuff you do not want to be dealing with. And it's hard, because if you're around that too much, you're gonna shift back to that. You can go to these events all you want and it's gonna help, but you need to continue to be around these people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will say like, oh, I need to cut people out of my life. I need to cut people out. You do not need to cut people out of your life. What you need to do is you need to get more people in your life that are in this room. Yeah. So where can they find you?
My Instagram's probably the best place. It's Andre_BR97.
And you're gonna want to stay in touch with this guy. This is one of the most fun people I've ever been around, and recently engaged. So give it up for him.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good day.